Irungu Kangata has penned a bold letter to President Uhuru Kenyatta. And I've gone through that letter. And I'm asking myself one simple question. If that letter was private and addressed to President Uhuru Kenyatta, who leaked it out to the public? And what were the objectives of leaking that letter to the public? And I'm coming to two conclusions. The first conclusion I'm coming to is that that letter was actually not penned by Irungu Kangata, but it was penned by people close to President Uhuru Kenyatta through express permission of the president, and then released to the public. Why they did that, I might not know. But I can speculate that probably they wanted to achieve two objectives. The first objective is that they wanted to appeal to the emotions of the people of the larger Mount Kenya region to support the Building Bridges Initiative process. Because in that letter, Irungu Kangata is alleging that they are not sure whether the next president of the Republic of Kenya will be able to gift Mount Kenya with the kind of goodies which the Building Bridges Initiative process is gifting the community. Number two, I'm also concluding that probably it's a strategy to bolt out of the Building Bridges Initiative process. Because so far, the only person who has been pushing for the Building Bridges Initiative process is actually Raila Odinga. But let us now go straight into this letter and try to analyze the content of this letter. This letter, I'm actually reading it from my laptop. This letter is dated 30th December 2020. It's addressed to His Excellency Party Leader, Jubilee Party, through Secretary General Raphael Tuju. In an ordinary circumstance, this letter ought to have been addressed to President Uhuru Kenyatta through the Building Bridges Initiative Secretariat. But Irungu Kangata has opted to use Jubilee Party channel. And that's the first red flag I'm reading. This letter now excludes Raila Odinga from the Building Bridges Initiative process. Raila Odinga has been a key player, or is a key player, and remains a key player in the Building Bridges Initiative process. The letter is titled BBI in Mount Kenya, Prospects and Challenges. Irungu Kangata is saying in this letter, introduction, I take this opportunity to thank you for the support rendered to the Senate leadership last year. As a result, Senate has passed several key matters of public importance to the credit of government due to this renewed synergy. They include your timely intervention on county revenue sharing stalemate. Remember, Irungu Kangata was just appointed the other day by President Uhuru Kenyatta after he kicked out the allies of the Deputy President William Samoei Ruto. When he kicked Kipchumba Murkomen out, Kithure Kindiki, and Susan Kehika. Irungu Kangata replaced Susan Kehika. And one of the things they did was to pass that revenue sharing stalemate. Irungu Kangata is saying, kindly allow me to address myself to matter BBI, which will dominate public debate in 2021. I will confine myself to matters relevant to Greater Mount Kenya region. This is because as an elected leader from the region, I often interact with its residents more in comparative terms. I also have good rapport with regional leaders who unreservedly express local sentiments, which is okay. He wants to discuss this issue, BBI issue, and narrow it down to the larger Mount Kenya region, because that's where he's elected and that's where the president comes from. And the passage of the Building Bridges Initiative process is actually going to be determined in the larger Central Kenya region or the larger Mount Kenya region. He's saying, I do so with the deep conviction and faith that I have in this administration. Having been entrusted with the party leadership in Senate, I owe the party a duty to be truthful in reporting on matters relevant to my mandate. And up to that point, I agree with Irungu Kangata. If he was appointed and entrusted with leadership by the party at the Senate, then he needs to be dutiful and truthful. But I don't know whether truth is part of business of politics. In this letter, reference BBI includes the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020, which is slated for referendum in June 2021. We are not beginning. Now, because if you looked at this letter, it was addressed like BBI in Mount Kenya, prospects and challenges. And is now going to, after the introduction, Irungu Kangata is going to the prospect. And I want you guys to listen very keenly. Irungu Kangata is saying, by virtue of the good development work done by your administration, BBI ought to have a smooth sailing in the region. These works include the many newly paved roads and water projects implemented by your good administration. On a personal level, my very own rural village of Gathinja in Kahuhia, Kiharu, now has electricity in addition to an ongoing tarmac road project that will terminate into the neighboring Gacharaigu village in Kangema constituency. This experience is true for many Mount Kenya residents. It would therefore be assumed that BBI, being a document propagated by a government that has done so much good for its people, should have an easy sailing on the ground. So according to Irungu Kangata, President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration has done a lot of development projects in the larger Mount Kenya region. And therefore, passing Building Bridges Initiative process should be one of the easiest things. But that's not the truth. He's continuing that BBI, and this is where I want you guys to listen very keenly. And that's why probably I'm trying to believe that Irungu Kangata is using reverse psychology to appeal to the emotions of the people of the larger Mount Kenya region to support the Building Bridges Initiative process. And probably that's why I'm trying to assume that whoever penned this letter might not be Irungu Kangata. It might be someone deep inside President Uhuru Kenyatta's circle. He's saying BBI contains many benefits for the region, which if it fails, may be lost forever. There is no guarantee of a new regime where our son, in quote, is not on the driving seat, will offer these benefits to the region. They include the creation of new constituencies. The fact of the matter is that the creation of new constituencies in this country is actually benefiting the people of Central Kenya and the larger Mount Kenya region. Even if you look at the way the constituencies are proposed to be created in Nairobi, the beneficiaries are going to be the people of the larger Mount Kenya region. They're now going to have more constituencies even in Nairobi. So it's continuing, embedding in the constitution 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote principle, proposed new article 203, and more resources to counties. So from my understanding, that statement and that particular paragraph is clearly an appeal to the emotions of the people of the larger Mount Kenya region. And that's why I'm saying that Irungu Kangata is using reverse psychology. Let's continue. He's saying, I foresee a legal crisis of great proportion that impacts the region negatively in the unlikely event of BBI failure, particularly on 2 issues. So Irungu Kangata believes that if BBI is going to fail, then there is going to be legal crisis. First, small constituencies like Mukurweni, Othaya, and Mathia will be scrapped by IBC because they offend population quotas set by Article 89 of the Constitution. Secondly, the third generation county revenue sharing formula, which is positive for the region as it grants fair weight on population, will be negated because it was predicted on increment of devolved funds. Whereas a policy of lifting the floor under Article 203 of the Constitution can be used to remedy this, it's far much better for counties where there is a constitutional compulsion for devolving more money than a policy whim. So Irungu Kangata is saying, and again is appealing to the emotions of the people of the larger Mount Kenya, that the Building Bridges initiative is giving us more constituencies. But you have the options, but the people are going to reject it. And the moment the people are going to reject it, it means there are several constituencies which are not going to be retained. Remember, IBC is also supposed to review constituencies. And according to his own estimation, Mukurweni, Othaya, and Mathia will be scrapped off. So remember, these guys were supposed to benefit from more constituencies. And now you are going to tell them that 3 more constituencies are going to be removed. So what are you telling these people? You're telling them to guard, because the people of Central are actually known to be people who prefer to retain what they have first and then fight for more. So basically, these guys are not going to allow this to go. So they'll rather retain the new constituencies first. And it's continuing. Better resourced counties with a just and fair constitutional review sharing formulas are a better insurance for the welfare of the Mount Kenya region in the period post your good regime. Other key benefits that ought to be selling BBI in the region include World Development Fund proposal, which yours truly championed in the legislature. Importantly, Mount Kenya's diaspora has been the political punchbag since 1991. BBI intends to remedy this by embedding consociational democracy, which other ethnically divided society have employed to curb successfully electoral ethnic conflict, including Switzerland, Belgium, and UK's Northern Ireland. So basically, if you read this part, then you'll agree that is again appealing to the emotions. It's talking of a big counties like Kiambu, which are going to benefit through constitutional revenue sharing formulas, which is going to be based on the constitution. If that's not going to happen, then Irungu Kangata is telling these people that we are going to lose big time. So you rather support the president. Now the challenges, because he talked of prospects and he talked of challenges. Now, what are some of the challenges Irungu Kangata is talking about? He's saying, notwithstanding the above, we should ideally be rallying the region strongly behind BBI. Based on a survey I conducted during this December holiday, I have come to the conclusion BBI is unpopular in Mount Kenya region. I admit my survey was not very scientific. Maybe a more structured survey seeking to ascertain BBI ratings in Mount Kenya needs to be undertaken in terms of proper identification of respondents, scientific sampling procedures, employment of good research tools, and questionnaires. The question I'm asking Irungu Kangata, why was he conducting this survey? What was the objective? He needs to answer that question. Because you can't just wake up one morning and claim to have conducted a survey. And then you are telling Kenyans that in this survey which you conducted, you are not very sure that it's not structured enough. But again, he's a politician, probably just wanted to gauge the popularity of the Building Bridges initiative process. He's continuing, I am aware your other sources of information can corroborate or counter my conclusion. My sources are regionally skewed, with most were from Murang'a, my home county. But my sample size is big enough for one to make a logical inference. I had also triangulated my tentative finding with select sources beyond Murang'a. Hence, I am fairly confident that my findings are reflective of regional sentiments. The truth of the matter is that BBI is not very popular in the larger Mount Kenya region. It's not very popular because the president has failed to deliver according to them. And the reason this is happening is because people like Irungu Kangata allowed Tanga to go to the ground with the propaganda. Because there's no way the president can be bad and failing and as a failure who could not deliver while his deputy is an angel. That cannot happen. It can only happen when a section of the leadership from that region are spreading propaganda to the people. But Irungu Kangata and the team who supports the president have actually failed to counter that. I'm not saying BBI is popular. I know BBI is not popular. Even nationally, BBI is not popular. In fact, it's one of the things which can easily be voted out by Kenyans because of so many factors, including the state of economy, including the pandemic which we are currently facing. But it's continuing because, the president has intelligence report. By illustrations, out of every 10 persons I picked randomly, 6 oppose BBI, 2 support, and 2 are different. Women and youth form the bulk of the 6 that oppose. Men beyond age of 50 form the bulk of the new BBI supporters. There is no correlation of BBI support with educational level. There appears to be some correlation of BBI ratings with urban-rural configurations, with BBI support sinking more in rural areas. So basically, according to Irungu Kangata's data, out of 10 people, 6 are opposed to BBI. 2 are supporting. And 2 are undecided. Which is good statistics for me. Because Irungu Kangata and the team now has that opportunity to go outside there and convince the 2 undecided to support the BBI. And then they can convince one of those 6 who are opposed to the BBI to support. That would mean they'll have 50-50, in my considered opinion. But in his own survey, 6 people are opposing the BBI, 2 are supporting, and 2 are undecided. And he's saying, Your Excellency, I concede I may be wrong. In fact, I wish I was wrong, and that my views are mere pessimistic views of things. However, if I am right, and we do not take urgent remedial measures, I will pin myself permanently in the pillars of shame of a spectacular defeat. The revenue sharing debate in Senate proved the importance of flagging matters beforehand. I had raised the red flag 1 month before the stalemate ensued, but my concerns took time to be remedied. The same happened in Gaturi by-election. This does not necessarily mean BBI will fail nationally. These findings do not suggest BBI ratings cannot shift, notwithstanding politics is a way of flux. Maybe there will be a shift once regional county assembly endorse the document. I suspect they will endorse, as this may create the BBI inexorable sentiments. However, with due respect, let me not overemphasize the political consequences of a no vote in our home region. I pray we make urgent remedial efforts to such outcomes. My conclusion, my assessment on that particular statement alone is very simple. President Uhuru Kenyatta must go back to the basics and hand over the campaigns to people like Irungu Kangata. The campaign of the BBI today is being run and managed by the technocrats, the provincial administrations. These are the guys who are getting the money and spending. Give money to Irungu Kangata and the team and let them do their campaigns. Then they will start writing a different report, Mr. President. Several factors seem to be driving this no to BBI momentum. That's according to Irungu Kangata. BBI is being framed as a Jubilee factional agenda. Our internal Jubilee problems have been weaponized and are being used to deflect our people from the benefits of BBI. The notion that BBI will expand the government has been echoed with great effect. On a personal level, I understand what led to this. It was the need to accommodate women's lobby concern, which had judicial endorsement. However, I hold the view that the drafters should have been more imaginative in trying to weigh these two conflicting goals of a trim government and accommodating women. The role of provincial administrations and other forms of hard tactics on BBI mobilization is being framed as an example of government using its hard power to force its citizens to endorse the Building Bridges Initiative. Basically, again, what I was saying. So the president must allow the political class now to take charge of the BBI process. Stop the use of provincial administration now. The stage in which the BBI is currently is basically the stage where you can say is a political stage. Natembea, sijui nani should watch from far. People like Irungu Kangata should be funded heavily by the government because this is now a government project. Irungu Kangata and all Keleweke team must be funded heavily to go to the ground and change the narrative. He's saying government supporting legislators in the region have been edged out of BBI process in favor of their local political competitors. I will cite the example of Kagema, MP of Kangema, Honorable Muturi Kigano, who has been steadily supporting government since 2017. He chairs the Strategic Committee on Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs of the National Assembly. Notwithstanding this, his political rival is spearheading BBI in Kangema to Kigano's exclusion. This grievance is silently brewing among MPs in the National Assembly. A number of them are Comerera, political double agents, who are bidding their time before they bolt out. In the Senate, by virtue of age, personal resources, and political experience of most of elected senators, this is not a major issue. I have made personal efforts to intervene on their behalf to relevant authority to unravel. There is a general feeling of economic deprivation at household level in the region. The political actors who are selling this narrative are employing the common man language. In comparison, government narratives in the region include BBI is being sold by civil servants with limited political skills. This is having a negative knock on the effect of BBI. It appears household incomes have either stagnated or plummeted. Many have blamed the stagnation of tea, coffee on government, and thus argue BBI is less of their concern. So basically, Irungu Kangata is saying the same thing. Let the political class run the Building Bridges Initiative process. And on this, I agree with Irungu Kangata fully. The president must consider his strategy and allow Irungu Kangata and the team to run the show, not civil servants. Recommendation. What is he recommending? On the issue of Jubilee functionalism and its impact on BBI, I propose we bend backwards. Effort need to be made to rally regionally all members of parliament, irrespective of their political factions, behind this cause. Your personal intervention will help at this juncture with BBI ratings being on the downward spiral. It has been suggested BBI referendum be combined with the elections of 2022. This may be impractical, taking into account of some of the BBI reforms legally need to be in place prior to 2022. For example, new constituencies and addressing the issue of gender representation in parliament. However, the suggestion for multi-choice referendum, if considered, may ensure against total rejection. Again, Irungu Kangata, just like I said, maybe is planning on how to bolt out of the Building Bridges Initiative. If you remember, sometimes back, Irungu Kangata was on record claiming that he met with some Jubilee allies of the deputy president. So is Irungu Kangata leaning towards the DP, or is he planning to jump to the DP side? Because why should he suggest a multi-choice referendum? Multi-choice referendum is going to shame the president the most. Everything the president wants are going to be kicked out. I am sure even the new constituencies he's suggesting here, if this referendum is brought the way it is, I can assure you the rest of the country are going to remove those additional constituencies because they're not benefiting other Kenyans. The people of Siaya, for example, the people of Homa Bay, the people of Migori are going to reject it in full. And that's the reality. So he's saying on the issue of provincial administration and use of fire tax, I propose when one is strong, he or she must act weak. And when one is weak, he or must. Government has an iron fist. I propose to find ways of government wears velvet gloves. This is important because a Kikuyu saying goes, he who is sent away with justice never return. Let us emphasize on soft power. So basically, he's blaming the provincial administration. So he's talking of the issue of the role of MPs. I propose parallel BBI supporting structures headed by a quasi-politician be established to manage MPs. So basically what's happening here is, again, in Kileweke, there seems to be factions. And I want to relate this to the Nairobi gubernatorial race. Dennis Oweru, who is not an elected member of parliament, is the one leading the BBI secretariat. That alone is not sitting well with many elected members of parliament. And Dennis Oweru also has some former members of parliament, former senators, who is working with closely. So for example, in Kangema, where he's talking about probably there, Dennis Waweru and the team have identified another individual who is not the member of parliament. So on the issue of economic deprivation, he's saying it is good the government is now making efforts to resuscitate agriculture, starting with the recently enacted T-bill. Of course, those are there. So I will conclude with one seemingly unrelated issue which has some connection with the 2021 government political trajectory. This is the Nairobi area. A possible loss by our party candidate will have not so good political consequences that permit into BBI. Further, you see, basically what I was talking about. You can't mix the issue of Nairobi gubernatorial seat and the BBI. Let us deal, if I were Irungu Kangata, I'd ask the president to let us deal with the issue of Nairobi. Once Nairobi is concluded, then we can shift focus to the BBI. Because by the time we'll be going for the Nairobi by-election, probably even the bill shall have gone through some county assemblies. In conclusion, I have set out BBI prospect and challenges in Mount Kenya region. I have additionally made recommendations on the way forward to remedy the seemingly negative BBI prospect in the region. Being your firm supporter, I will endeavor to do my best to ensure your legacy of being one of the best presidents ever in the region is upheld. Irungu Kangata. What's your thought on that letter by Irungu Kangata? I want to hear your thoughts on it. Thank you guys, and please, may you have a good day.